Hello, my name is Alauddin, and I am here to explain you how you can utilize the generative AI for the data development in your organization. Recently, Databricks has announced the Databricks Assistant that uses the generative AI capabilities to co-pilot the development of data projects. The Databricks Assistant is powered by the famous OpenAI LLM in order to provide you with a context-aware assistance to make more efficient notebooks, queries, or files. We all know that ChatGPT can do, in a very impressive way, code writing, documenting, optimizing, and even testing the code. And that was one of the main reasons that made ChatGPT that famous. But can it understand the context of the code? As you know, the code is not running in silos and should be related to the other pieces of code. Also, does it help while coding? You know that with ChatGPT interface, there is a big disconnect while developing, as you need to copy the code to ChatGPT interface, putting the context, updating the code, trying multiple times to reach the desired outcome. A lot of other things that might limit our abilities to fully leverage the capabilities of ChatGPT while developing solutions, like lack of integrations with our environment, knowledge of our coding standards, and real-time debugging while coding. With Dev Assistant, we are now able to do all these and more, from code and query writing, documenting, optimizing, testing, and even auto-completion while writing the code. Before we begin talking about the details, it is very important to note that Dev Assistant need to be used to help in coding, but you need to always review the code and make sure that you productionize only the tested code that you trust and proven working fine. Let's start by coding capabilities of the Databricks Assistant. For coding, you can just start by typing and describing what you want to program. For example, I have asked the assistant to read sales data from a source that I have provided the location for, and asked it to aggregate the sales by day. The assistant will generate the code for you in a second. Review the code, and if it is good, click a button and insert it in your notebook. Now, for developers and analysts who wish to use the assistant capabilities in generating queries, they can do so by describing what they want to query. The assistant will generate the query for you with explanations. The beauty of this is that you don't need to put the context, what are the fields available in the tables, for sure hoping that the fields are well described or named for a better outcome. After that, you just need to click on a button to insert the query in the editor. Then you can just run the query to see that if it works or not. And finally, you can check that and examine the outcome of the query. Will it meet your expectations or not? And for sure, you can visualize the query outcome in your favorite chart. Another important feature that saves most of developers' time is the ability to discover the issues and fix it. There are two ways of doing so. You can just simply ask Assistant to check the code and find if there is an issue or not. The Assistant will check the code and display the findings and explanations. You can check that. If you're happy with the new code that has been generated, just insert this code and test it and try it again. The other way of doing so is that if your code is generating an error, you can just click on a button that is now newly available called Diagnose the Error. The assistant will check the error and suggest the fix for that error and a new code, which is doing the same what I explained now, and then you can try the new code and see how it works. This will save a lot of time in troubleshooting and figuring out what are the sources of the issues and fixing them in the code. Now there are other cases where the code is actually running, but you just need to make sure that it is optimized in using the resources and written in a standard and secured way. And here, Dev Assistant can help on this. You can just ask it to optimize the code. Again, you don't want to put all the code or copy it. You can just refer to it. And for sure after that you can check the optimized code and the explanation. If you're happy with it, just insert the new code and try it. There are a lot of cases you want to explain the code to business users in simple language, which is most of the time not so easy for tech team. With the help of the Dev Assistant, you can produce quickly simple code explanations. Also, you can generate simple diagrams to visualize the code execution. And who can deny the importance of technical documentation? And also, we can't deny that this is not one of the coolest things that tech team enjoy doing. For me, this is a great example where assistance is needed. With Assistant, now you can simply ask to put proper comments in the code. You can visualize the code execution with technical details by asking to generate diagrams like this. And also, you can generate a full technical specification of the code. That for sure you can use in your favorite knowledge base. You can ask Assistant to generate testing cases to check the code is running as expected and the data quality is assured. Also, you can use these testing scenarios in your CI/CD pipelines. As you have seen already, the Dev Assistant is a very helpful tool to co-pilot the development lifecycle and can be beneficial to our organization by reducing the time to market for the new features, as the code generation and issue fixing can be much faster now. The quality of features could be improved a lot with the help of Assistant in optimizing the code and generating testing scenarios. And finally, with the Dev Assistant, we will enrich our knowledge base with a clear and full description of our code assets. Thanks a lot for watching, and let's get started.